Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host Elias. I have an exciting guest here, and I have to say it. Yeah, trust me, I like it. He's pointing at himself right there. I am for it. We need more confidence like that, guest. I think moving forward, I'm gonna expect you to just exude some confidence. And if you can't, find a way to fake it. Okay, fake it well. You're on camera, all right. So trust me, we're gonna have some fun over here, and I am fulfilling my diversity mission, not the DEI superficial crap. Because trust me, I was part of one of those groups in my job, and it's failing because it's superficial and it's a covert control. It's a covert corporate control. So yeah, I'm happy to kick me out of it. So I take that rejection with pride because I spoke up. I'm a pretty vocal person. But enough about me bashing poor DEI. I am for natural diversity. I am about including people.
Yeah.
But don't tell me how to talk. Don't tell me how to do this. You can give me some tips how to improve, but that's if I'm open to it. But if you just say something I'm in the middle of talking or I'm too busy, of course I'm not gonna listen to you. So strike when the iron is hot. Timing is important. But I don't want to make this about me. Oh, there's no point of having this guest here, okay? I'm not going to go on my fun moments here. But I have a wonderful guest here, and he's a I just looked up his stats. He is an accomplished public speaker, and he's very exuding positivity. And I might even ask you for it, which I love. If I don't ask for it, that's better for me because I'm such a lazy person. When it comes to being awesome, I'm about to ask for it. You're hurting my pride. You're hurting my pride. The heck, man. But enough about me. What do you want the audience to know about you, Jason Brown?
Alias, what's up, man? My name is Jason Brown. I'm here to talk about some tech, talk about some change in the world type stuff. We can even debate on this DEI topic if you want, bro. We can go back and forth on that. I am a human being that loves conversation and loves to dig into it and find these avenues where we can connect in ways that we might not have connected before. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I like long walks on the beach. That's also me, and also like hot dogs. So those are two random facts. And I do like to play chess. How about that? Go ahead, Queen's Gambit me. See what happens, bruh. See what happens, bruh. You know what I mean? So that's me in a nutshell.
You heard that. You want to challenge him in chess? All I'm going to do is be a proud, cowardly commentator, but I will talk a lot of crap. I said, "Oh, that queen just slay." You did. You got the warning, bro. You got the warning. Don't be salty. You know.
Yeah.
But I like that. Look at that. That's the competitors. Talk, and I'm pretty sure you can back it up. I suck at chess, so I'm not going to compete in there. But shoot, I think I let all the minions just get killed. All the pawns, poor pawns, you go on a suicide mission.
I mean, sometimes that can work if you're playing against somebody who's overly aggressive. So I get that. Totally get that.
And then the horse
depends
goes
on the
strategy.
Yeah. Depends on your opponent and your strategy and how much you want to, what kind of games you want to play to make it happen. So, if anything else, if you're like, whatever this conversation unfolds, you're like, you know what? I wasn't really feeling much except for the chess. Holler at me. Let me know. We'll get some games together and we'll play some chess. How about that?
Yeah, that people. You hear that, listeners? Get in touch with him. Get set up for chess. Ask if he's not too busy, of course. But that's all I'm going to say about that. True. That's a little disclaimer. I got to say everything. Let's get back to reality for a second. But let's start with this AI, and then we could mingle a whole bunch of stuff. What is your perspective on AI in general? Let's just start from
there. I think that still the general public doesn't really understand what's going on. I don't think that if you ask most people on the street, they will say AI. They'll say maybe ChatGPT. The average person doesn't know about Gemini, doesn't know about really what Copilot is, doesn't know really what these things are, which I found surprising because I'm a tech head. I was in IT for 15 years, and so I was coding PowerShell, virtual machines, running big chunks of Penn State University. Not running, I should say I was a part of the team that did it. I don't want to take too much credit because our department's not there anymore, so I was not running it. But from an IT tech point of view, I just realized that many people don't get what ChatGPT is. In fact, it's surprising how many people still, if I ask them, have you used AI? They'll be like, I think so. And which is probably the case because many of the systems that we have use AI in the background or have been rebranded to be called AI when it's just programming, which is fine. And so there's a large swath of people that don't get it. And so what I've been on a mission to do, at least in my work, in all the spaces that I work, nonprofit work, thought leadership work in general, is to get people comfortable with the ideas of how they can actually use something as simple as a chat-based AI tool such as ChatGPT or Gemini. And that is still a struggle. But as soon as you show, but it's a really easy sell. Hey, what name one thing that's taken you 4 hours this week to do? Well, I have these things, and I show them in 3 seconds on how to accomplish that thing with a few prompts. Conversations change, perspectives change, and then we have to get in conversation about security and about making sure that privacy and all these other things like that. And so it's interesting to see just how little people understand and know up to now, and which scares me because I'm afraid that people won't know what's happening over the next 5 to 10 years in AI, which is going to be huge. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, I don't claim to be an expert. I consider myself just a learner, just like a lot of other people. But people, and I have thrown random couple of examples. I said, look, we have interacted with AI for decades. Just that a lot of people don't realize it. It's just open AI lived up to its name, has made AI quote unquote more open to the public, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could use video games. I mean, when you fight against a CPU, that's an AI challenging you, right? Put on easy, normal, hard.
Consider that.
That's AI. And if you want to talk about sites, even before ChatGPT became a public thing, there were chatbots. There were, there are things that took place before ChatGPT became the thing. Okay. And there were bots that were censoring and all that. That's AI. All that stuff is AI. So, a lot. I think some people just think, oh, it's just boom came out of the. No, it was just like you said. So a lot of it was like background usage. You didn't really pay attention to it, normal consumer, or was used in such a limited, simplistic fashion. I mean, even some of the. If I feel free to correct me here, you're a tech expert. Microsoft Excel functions. I think that was AI, computating a bunch of stuff.
I mean, it depends on how you define AI. We were talking about AI back in the video game days about, what is the how the like I would think of like Metal Gear Solid, how the enemies would move around. You're like, what is the level of computational power that these enemies have that my opponent has? And that was, I mean, we've gone, even if you bring it back to chess, when you thought about when IBM was competing with the grandmasters in the late 90s, early 2000s, and really trying to set its tone about how computationally we can outperform humans in various ways, in various states. AI and computer programming and the evolution of how things work in that space has been fairly consistent. I think one of the major changes is the way that we've this large language model aspect of ChatGPT, which is the system itself. Let's just use ChatGPT as the basis of this conversation from a chatbot AI LLM, large language model perspective. Is it knows a great deal, and it could be conversational, and it could process and give you responses in many different ways, and it can be trained. So all of these things coming together, we haven't had really an experience where a consumer like you and I had the power of these things that I was just talking about, these chess wizards or these AIs that were in Metal Gear Solid or NBA Jam. Maybe the AI there was kind of whack, but it still was a lot of fun. My point is, like, we didn't have access to it. And finally, the general public, whether you're tech savvy and you're using a back end of OpenAI and you're actually using tokens to like build applications, or you're someone simple like me that just craves to learn the best way to create a prompt for ChatGPT. The way that these things are being integrated is going to be wild, my dude. The way that we will be operating and interacting with technology 10 years from now, 5 years from now, let alone how we've done it today. And I don't think people are ready for that, especially on the consumer side of things.
Oh yeah, sadly that. As much as I would love to be an optimist, but I think you're right. Most people are just not ready for it. I so somewhere in the middle. I've used ChatGPT just to give it political analysis. I caught it at a contradiction. I said, you're gonna have to clarify this contradiction because it doesn't make sense. How could it be A and B at the same time? And then it finally broke it. It finally broke it down, so I was satisfied with it. I had just about a casual conversation about electoral processes and all of that. And for the record, I'm going to be attacking the MAGA crowd for a second. The 2020 election was legitimate. Flawed, but legitimate, okay? Just because I had a few procedural issues doesn't make it illegitimate. Let's be clear about that. Yeah, I mean, politically, I hate both sides of the aisle, if I'm going to be frank, but I have to really attack Trump on that, because that was just super irresponsible. And if he loses 2024, I don't want to see another crybaby Trump round 2, because I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to make it too political, but I have to just say this.
I mean, your podcast is politically high tech, so I mean, it makes sense that you're digging into it. I guess one of the things to bring it though to the political side is I'm curious to know the impact of how AI will handle will hurt the processes of counting ballots, the electoral process. Like there is going to be some sort of way that AI will be integrated into the system. It probably already has to some degree on a scale that we are unaware of. And it will continue to be a part of our everyday life, whether it comes to electing a local official, electing a president, whether it comes to cooking a item in the microwave, whether it comes to understanding how your car functions, us connecting with your podcast, every aspect of our lives, the decisions that we make that impact millions and millions of people, and the decisions that truly impact just a handful of few, like a family at home. These things, AI, it is our responsibility to be more aware of what's happening, because the more it gets infused in all these other aspects of our lives, the less control we might have unless we're paying attention. I understand like you were making a political comment there, but like at the same time, it directly is connected to how we need to be processing the future of AI and how much our actions matter.
I mean, I thank you for that. Let me make that connection for you. I'm lazy. Someone could just intuitively do it for me. It's awesome. I don't care. I'm shameless. All right. You can call me out on it, listeners. Go right ahead. There's a comment section for you for there. Feel free to express your frustration, your venom right there. I'm probably not going to read it unless I'm bored.
Oh.
So yeah, there you go. Let's do. Let's. Okay, let me bring it back to high quality now. But to AI, I already see a couple of negative implications. Like a deep fake thing was attacking Biden. So there's already a negative impact of AI. And of course the robocall thing is ridiculous. I mean, that was even before that was an AI tool that we used.
Are you talking about the executive who got a call and he was like, well, I'll just give this story. So I'm not sure exactly what company it was, and I can look it up real quick. Just imagine a Fortune 500 company, a big CEO gets a message on their phone that says, "Hey, we're working on this deal right now. I need you to send me over the code for your 2FA." And so he's like, "What?" He's like, "Just in the message is pick up your phone." And so he answers his phone. Somebody used AI to capture the voice of his colleague. He doesn't know how he did it, but his colleague's voice was mimicked. Was AI trained itself on the model. And somebody was like in the old sci-fi movies where somebody's using that voice coder machine and they're like, "I'm pretending to be such and such." That just happened in real life. Now, luckily, the gentleman who was the CEO asked a few questions that the other person could not answer, which is what you're supposed to do. But that level of corporate espionage is pretty significant. And if you imagine that's why it's really important for us to understand just how AI can be used. Getting a call from somebody that sounds like the person you think it is, but it's coming from a weird number, and now we have to double check that. Now you have to say, okay, confirm your identity not only once, maybe not even twice, but 3 times before I'm giving you any identifiable information. A really big thing is at this point though, if anybody ever contacts you, even if it seems to be the most real situation and asks you for any personally identifiable information, your job is to pretty much say no. Unless you meet the person in person, like it's getting really hard to distinguish who you can trust and who you cannot, especially in the digital spectrum. And this one company could have lost millions, maybe billions of dollars from just one conversation. And it took him to say, what was the book I was talking about 3 days ago on the balcony of that one building? And what was the name of that building? The call ended, hung up, and the guy immediately contacted everybody. It was like, be on the watch. These folks are out there. So this is not to like scare you in a place of like, oh my gosh, the world's going to end and nobody's going to have their privacy. I mean, that's probably true. But my point is like, it is a tool that bad folks can use just as much as good folks. And it's our responsibility, like your podcast, and to communicate to our friends and family. This is how AI is being used. Be careful. And also use this tool effectively for yourself.
I like that. I like that because I personally have family members that's been scammed by that exact type of fraudulent AI voice that sounds like someone that they know.
Yeah.
And, and of course, this relative, I'm not going to give much information, is part of the Gen Z crowd. I thought he would have done a better job deciphering it, but since he seems so, I know, I love you, Gen Z. Maybe question mark, but whatever. No, I actually like you. Let me stop. But what? Yeah, he fell for because it sounded like his relative asking for something. He just voluntarily gave that information. I mean, AI tech when it comes to fraudulent scams, they're getting more sophisticated. So you have to triple verify, quadruple verify to Jason's point. And he's not doing this to scare you or just, manifest Skynet or iRobot situation for happening, okay? And, but we do have to be prepared. We have to be alert, okay? We can't just live in La La Land. We just cannot live in La La Land.
You can't. You cannot live in La La Land. You cannot live in La La Land. I completely agree. One little small interjection real quick. I just was reading an article about iRobot and how it was ahead of its time. Like imagine if iRobot dropped around the same time AI dropped. It would have been the biggest movie, but everybody doesn't. But at that time, everyone was like, yeah, robots, I get it. AI, I get it. But now it's like, oh no, it's getting a lot closer to what that, especially with like Elon building robots and wanting to put them into our homes, just like a lot of our sci-fi films have happened. It's interesting how the real world matches and catches up to our science fiction movies and books and comic books and stories. And we're getting closer, man. We're getting closer. And I'm both excited and a little scared at the same time.
Of course. And we're gonna say, "Oh, Jason's he's contradicting, so I'm scared and excited." No, we're human beings, okay? As much as I would love things to be simple, I consider myself a cautious optimist. I'm looking forward to the great AI's potential, but I'm also aware of its risk as well. I mean, you gotta see multiple sides of the subject or the issue just to be an expert.
You do.
You have to say, "Oh, AI is all great. It's going to do all great things." No, just like human beings, we're at a spectrum of morality. We're from very good to very bad, and there's a lot of people that leans right in the middle. So that AI is going to reflect on the creator. Okay, if the creator have bad intentions, they're going to do. I was going to give a very, very social example. If you want to make the AI racist, I think it would be stupid, but go ahead. I want that person to be called out for wasting his time and everybody else's time by creating some racist AI that says, "Oh, I can't recognize this person it's too dark. This person's light. I can recognize all the features, and there's been sadly studies which it needs to be worked on because I think human biases have been transferred. Can we correct that through AI, or we have to correct that? I think we have to correct it to ourselves first before we can even get to that conversation. I don't know. What's your take on that?
So like there's a couple things here. When you're talking about like a large language model like ChatGPT, where you're feeding in a bunch of information, like there are apps there's video AI apps that are creating videos now based upon word prompts. What are those videos based off of? Those are you have to train. If you're talking about a large language model and AI, you have to train it on something. So from a video point of view, you train it on like YouTube. Well, what are the demographics of YouTube? I don't know, but let's just say that the majority of folks who publish on YouTube could be male, for instance. Let's just say 70% are male, just hypothetically. Then there would be a percentage bias of male created content whenever your video AI has learned what it needs to learn. There's a certain inherent bias in that. That doesn't mean that every individual people inside of that are intentionally being malicious or biased. It's just that when you look at all of the data, the millions and millions of videos that exist out there, the small subtleties that exist in this large aggregate of data is going to slightly shift a decision one way or another. So that's with video, that's with the internet. I was talking to somebody about Wikipedia because this gentleman is working on. It's really fascinating. He's working on trying to figure out if we were to send a message into space out of all of humanity's thoughts and words, what would that look like? He's part of interstellar.org. It's fascinating. And he was like, well, Wikipedia is a great place that most people start, right? And so let's say you just had a large language model AI based upon Wikipedia. You think that would be a pretty good idea? It has a lot of information in it. Apparently, the number is staggering, where it's like 90% of the articles written in Wikipedia is written by men, and largely white men. Not that that's a problem inherently, but when you think about if you train some sort of model based upon that information and you ask it a question about diversity, now anything about black, white, anything at all related to gender or race, the answer that it comes out with could be biased. And we are still trying to figure out the best ways to make sure that the data that we put in, even if there might be swaying one way, to level that playing field out. So there is a problem with the data that we use. And if we the thing is, like, if we want to trust AI, I want to. Like I've written papers with it already. As an adult, I've written papers. Students can use it all the time. We begin to use it all the time. Next time in a couple of years, when you talk to Alexa, when you talk to Google, when you talk to all these things, they're all going to be using these systems. And the more that we trust these systems that have this bias, we might be confirming it ourselves and causing even more of a problem over time. So, yeah, there are a number of concerns with the way that it's being implemented. And quite frankly, since this is a politically high tech, there are in the U.S. Specifically, and it's more on the state level, but in the U.S. from a national level, we're not doing enough to understand how it impacts us. On a state level, only certain states are really going out of their way to really dive into it. California being one, at least in the past year, has put in more legislation related to AI than I think that any other state in the United States, which is great for the people, but high tech companies get annoyed by that because they're like, I want to do whatever I want. Well, the point of having all this is to make sure that you can't do whatever you want so that we're protecting the people that are using it. And so this is going to be this tug of war back and forth. It's going to be tough.
As always has been. Always with major companies, going to be a tug of war with government and businesses with regulation. Mm-hmm. I mean, we go back to history with steel. That was a big tug of war. All right. I mean, there's precedent for all this stuff. That's not going to get new people. Well, there's anti-fault. As we're talking, there is a victory that I'm happy about that that the judge sat and checked what state, but one of the judges said, oh, Google just something illegal. You have monopolistic power. You need to really rule on that. So it's like, good. This is a step in the right direction because my problem with the court system is it was biased not because of Democrat Republicans, because it's being too pro-corporate. Corporations gain so much wins. And that was my concern with the courts. Yep, exactly. It's all about, I was going to say creatively, green cheddar. Figure that out.
Green cheddar. Green cheddar.
Yeah, green cheddar. There you go. It's green. Well, that's for
you
US.
said green cheddar. I thought you said greed cheddar. I was like, that also works.
Yeah,
I mean,
both that works. You know what? Yeah, let's go with that. Green cheddar. Yeah, you see?
Green cheddar.
You see, this is why he's a great public speaker. You see, he's wordsmithing in real time, people. This is evidence right here. Clip it, clip it, clip it. Clip this, clip this. Green
I mean,
cheddar. There you go. We got to coin that word. We got to coin that word.
When Kendrick Lamar drops a song called Green Cheddar in about 3 weeks, y'all know the reason why. The reason why. It's because it started off on politically hot tech. That's where it started off.
And actually, great amount of credit goes to Jason Brown as well. Okay, let's not, this podcast's not getting all the credit. If I was doing a solo episode, then yeah, I will fight for every single credit, maybe then some.
Trademark it, make sure I got t-shirts, all the things.
Green cheddar. There you go. I'm an anti-corporate. I generally side with the left on that issue because I think they're more on the money. Not that I'm against corporate existence. I'm not against that. I'm not that radical. The far left, I have an issue with that. But the rational left, which is a lot of them. And just like the right, there's a lot of rational ones, even though, the media likes to pick on the boogie people because they're more entertaining. And that's what generates attention and clout and eyeballs. Not the rational people. Rational people boring. Who cares? Let's skip to, what did Trump said about what? Let's pay attention to that. What the AOC said? Let's pay attention to that. No. Forget the normal adults. They're boring. They're put us to sleep. We're not watching the National Geographic or Discovery Channel. We want some entertainment. We want something to get people pissed off or to react. But
so to that point, though, real quick, like, could you imagine, like, if to that point, I completely agree with you, right? I completely agree with, like, that's the way that news usually works. Could you imagine if AI were trained just on the way that news tells us information? Right. And if AI thought that was the right way to do it, right, then it would think that then it would have a structure within these large language models that would lessen the importance of quality information and reinforce the idea of this of the sensationalizing the news. And so, like, even something as simple as that and thinking how AI could be incorporated is a little scary because it would get even more efficient. It would get even better at doing that thing that you and I both don't like. I want to be able to turn on the news and be able to be like, okay, what are the like, don't just focus on the murder. Don't focus on the hot topics when it comes down to politics. Like, give me the real stuff. Like, what about the educational system as it relates to Pennsylvania? What about New York? What about California? What about Florida? What about Michigan? What about that? No, that's not even going to be discussed once over the course of a week on these news channels because that's not sensational enough. And so I think it's if there is ever an AI news channel, I hope that it's done correctly. I hope that is not just like the rest of them and it actually gives us the information there.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a sensationalized version. Let's just be real. That's going to be inevitable. But that's fine. Maybe just ignore that, people. Stop feeding negativity. All right. I was just about to swear, but I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible. Just go to the AI news that's going to give us brief, digestible information that's just that we consume in maybe 2 to 5 minutes, something like that. Well, I could give you links to articles that are focuses on facts, non-sensationalism, like the new paper. I'm going to put the link in the description. Trust me, I got stuff. Associated Press, I'm going to put the link right there. Pay attention to more of those, okay? And those are ones that will get you. And also, I got other news sites as well. But I'm gonna link it down. I don't got time to go through all of them. I'm gonna put various links in the description up. So
one of the things that you
against sensationalism. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that you just reminded me of when because you're talking about, like, saying I got this citations. I got this information from the Associated Press. That's what you're talking about. Here's the thing, though. When it comes to ChatGPT, I've begun to ask it Where did you get this information from? What is the link where I can find more information from? And I feel like more people should be doing that. If you're looking up any of the topics that you're talking about on your podcast, they should, if you're using AI tools, especially chat tools, and it pumps out information just like we do on a normal day-to-day basis, could you please provide me the links and resources to where you acquired this information? Sometimes it can't do it, and when it can't do it and it can't confirm it, then I don't think it's true. I want to see this website. I want to read the article in the Associated Press, because if you pulled it from Billy Bob's Basement Authority information site, I'm going to be like, no, I don't want Billy Bob's information. I would like to have a credible source for the information you're feeding me. And that's still a problem when it comes to AI. So yeah, ask ChatGPT where you got the information from.
Yep. Just like you want to question humans where they get the information from, we got to apply the same thing when it comes to AI. Because AI is not perfect at all. And I'm going to keep saying that. And I don't think it's ever going to be. It's going to be great, but not perfect. Those are two different things, okay? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Just like you don't trust human beings. You just think, oh, let me make up something really, really wacky. Something that's so bizarre that you'll know I'm spreading misinformation right away. Kamala Harris is a white man. Where's the citation for that?
That was not a factual statement. Please do not quote this at any moment. This has been a public service announcement. Like, all right, but like that is like you're right? Like that is what is the source from that? And I think it's going to become even harder unless it's integrated into the systems. Like, honestly, I'm surprised that you know what? ChatGPT does do it sometimes. If you ask it a question about an academic style question, it will give you a link to the things that exist, but it doesn't do it every time. I think that we need to train ourselves as human beings to do that more often. Because what you just said obviously is not true. Obviously, it's not true. But
if you want to believe that, make me feel good to laugh at you, then go right ahead. Go right ahead. You just feed my ego. You're feeding my dark side, by the way. Listen. Let's be. My responsibility, my self-imposed responsibility, to be clear, let's try to combat it against misinformation, disinformation. If I have done it myself, the next episode, I'll correct that as soon as possible. I said, what I said about that in the previous episode, that's incorrect. My apologies. That's what I'll do. And since I included at the link in the description too, so to make sure that, that my correction is acknowledged and recognized. Okay, because I'm going to make mistakes too. And of course, check what I'm doing, cite what I'm saying. I want that. And I want to have a conversation. Maybe it's something that I missed because of I didn't have time to break it up, or I misread the situation. That is a possibility. I'm being honest now. I'm putting the mature cap now. Even though I love to have fun and come up with craziness, that's kind of my thing. But just feel free. Don't take everything I say too hard. Don't. I expect you to be smart. Especially my listeners and viewers. I want you to be smart. Okay, even question me, correct me. If that person's being too emotional, he, she, whatever gender they identify as, they're immature. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. And that reveals a lot about a person. And I personally know people that if you correct them, they take it as an attack. They could express, okay, you're talking about that later. It's okay, we push it aside. But I don't mind being corrected right on the spot. I have been corrected right on the spot. I said, okay, yeah, that's actually true. And I'll acknowledge you right on the spot because I care about spreading the truth more than feeding my own ego. If it was feeding my own ego, I would spew all kinds of crazy stuff and defend it to the death. And that's really not my style right there. Okay, so I'm just gonna be very transparent with that. But I don't want to take over. I don't want to take too much time in that conversation. That's just why I say because of misinformation, disinformation. Truth and integrity is far more important than my own ego. Period.
So one more thing I want to say about this before we hop into something else is like when it comes to using chatbots, and this is one of those things that I think that again, I completely agree with you. Correcting individuals or having maybe the better way of saying it is having a conversation with an individual and opening up a dialogue is the best way to at least engage with some sort of like understanding it from a perspective and make sure that the facts are correct. It is not a correction of being like, you were right or you're wrong necessarily, but you could be like, hey, I have I have a reason to believe that you might be incorrect. It's a conversation, not a finger pointing and like character assassination necessarily. When it comes to that, but if you bring it back to the conversation about AI and chatbots and ChatGPT, I don't. When it comes to correcting, I don't think we do a good enough job. One, we talked about citations, which is important, right? You gotten data. But if something is not correct, I like to tell ChatGPT that here's the reasons why you're not right. This is actually, I think you said this earlier. You said you have two conflicting statements in this particular scenario, and I think that that is flawed. Now, depending on whether you're paying for ChatGPT or not, it's not supposed to be capturing and saving information up to their servers, the clouds. I'm sure all of it is anyway, but like they're not supposed to if you're paying for it. From my understanding, if I'm wrong about this, please let me know. I would love to know that if you pay for ChatGPT, they're still collecting all of your data. I don't think that's the case, or you can opt out of it. Still, I still correct ChatGPT because I'm hoping that my little comment, my little suggestion, my little adding shift of perspective will help make sure that the integrity of what people are using is intact. Will I have any impact? Look, I have no idea, but I certainly hope so. And I think that training ourselves to do that, whether it's AI, whether that's a human being, whether that's online, whether that's a conversation in person, whether that's with your family members, whether it's with your friends, that kind of approach of politely and respectfully disagreeing, even if it's a machine, is the best way to go about making sure we're on the same page. So yeah, dude, I completely get where you're coming.
Yep. Alrighty then. I think what's the next topic here? I think we touched very little bit on it. DEI. I won't be surprised if we disagree on something. I'm expecting to, which is fine. And reminder for my listeners and viewers: disagreement does not equal hate or an attack. Okay. I don't know why I feel like I have to keep reminding you of that, but based on how tribalized things are, I don't want you far radical left or right morons come at me, but if you do, I will not censor you. You want to know why? Because I want to document your stupidity and hideousness to the internet. Yeah, I protected free speech, not for the reasons you think. I want to make sure the public square know how hideous you are, how doofy you are. Okay?
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. I
So,
appreciate that.
but that's about
Okay, so what you want
DEI.
to
So
let's dig into it.
DEI,
What you want?
DEI, I've been very critical of it, not because of the idea itself. The idea itself is noble, right? It's good. It's a good goal. The problem is the execution and even some of the implementations. And I've been part of one of the boards, and I've been kicked out of it because I am too vocal, and I kind of don't care. I kind of foresaw me being kicked out because I'm not afraid to challenge someone. If you've seen the very old movie, listeners, especially the older ones, of the 12 Think Angry Men, I was that one
Yo,
juror that disagreed, questioned everything. I gave a hard time for the rest of the 11 that wanted to go home and get it done and over with. But sadly, the opposite happened. Unlike him convincing all of them, I got thrown. Oh, I got kicked off the group because they is I just think I was being too vocal and I was proud I was doing because we was keep talking about fluffy stuff like holidays and religions and all that. That's great and all, but we gotta talk about what is the root causes of what's causing certain biases in the job, and they didn't want to touch that. So I was like, what's the point of this group? So that's why I got kicked out. For sure.
so a couple things though. One, I'm sorry that happened to you. That sucks. That's stupid. And to have somebody retaliate against you for voicing your opinion, it never feels good. It never feels good. So I hope that you do find a spot where people can appreciate your vocal ability. The next point, I love the movie 12 Angry Men. By the way, look at the original, the black and white joint. If you go back and watch the original. It is so well, I don't watch a lot of black and white movies, but that movie I will watch anytime, any day. It's so well done. Now, okay, so the problems that you articulated don't necessarily scream to me a problem with DEI. up until the point you said that they don't want to go past being superficial. The concern that I have is this. If a group were to, let me back up. There are a lot of different elements to DEI. It's basically diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you were brought onto this team to say, because let's just assume that it was all white or predominantly not of somebody like you, and they wanted to bring some other folks in to gain additional perspective, and you were brought into that fold. That is a very noble gesture for them to do, to begin to do pieces of this. But the problem is that if you only do that, if you only just say, hey, we want to get a person of color on this group, we want to get a person who does not identify as male into this group, we want to get somebody who's international onto this group, and that is the extent of the work that you are trying to accomplish, you're going to inherently create conflict, because you're not actually allowing you have to allow people to have conversation. It goes back to this dialogue aspect. It goes back to going further than just acknowledging the fact that, yes, this week is Ramadan. Okay, that's your diversity moment. No, it has to be a deeper understanding of, like, during this week, we're going to be shifting our hours completely, and also we're going to be making sure that we respect this. And here's a little bit more about the religions that you may not understand as it relates to this particular holiday. And not only that, we're not going to put all the ownership on the individuals who are here who practice that. We're going to actually have some folks come in and coach all of us on pieces of what this might look like. We all know what Christmas is, right? Yay! Okay, well, here's another aspect that you might need to be paying attention to. It's this intentionality of creating conversation and dialogue, and not just relying on folks to just say, I've added a blank person to the group. It takes a deeper understanding to that. And to your point, and to your issue, when you're in this group and they weren't comfortable with your forward approach, that could just be the identity of any group. Like, not every person is going to fit with every group, and that could be the case. The other piece it could be is the fact that they are not familiar with people from different backgrounds being able to vocalize their opinions in different ways. And that does not mean that you accept disrespect, or you accept a minimization of people's integrity. No, that's not, you don't necessarily have to break your value structure to do it, but you have to be able to say, you know what? You have to at least take a step back and be like, if we've invited people who speak differently into the room, well, maybe the rules in which we speak need to change to accommodate that. But if you don't even think about that as part of the conversation, and you think that things should remain the same, but we just get to have a little bit of politically high tech inside the room because that makes us feel better from a DEI perspective, that's when it gets flawed. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, traditionally has been superficial. But the underlying value system and structure that is there is incredibly important. It's just been executed in the wrong ways in many places, and has since, because of that, left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. And I personally hope to rebrand all of that, to find a new way to have those conversations and restructure all of those pieces, because that's the only way that we can get back to being like, you know what? Let's get Elias in here. No. I understand the last time. Let's just make sure we get him in here and we have a great conversation. No. I don't like the way that this is. The format of the meeting needs to change. Let's try it. Let's just try it. Let's have a conversation afterward. How did you feel about that, Elias? How did you feel about the rest of the crew? All right, how do we need to adjust about this? What good to merge out of this? If you're not willing to do that, then that's the problem, and I hope to change that. So that's my perspective on it.
And I think that's a good time to try to wrap it. Oh, I could add so much into it, but you nailed a lot of you already nailed a lot of the points. So I was going to leave it at that, because I was not just I was forward my mouth, I was forward on pushing tasks and all that. And I respect a lot of people's ideas. When it was good, I said, that's good, let's do it. But they just pay attention to a couple of times that I was very vocal. I even challenged the majority, because you can't always be afraid of majority. I know that's easy to do, but as you know, especially if you want to study America, deter the majority. That is a thing. I don't care if you're black, white, I don't know, multicolored, whatever the heck you are. It is a thing, but you got to push it, especially when you have a good idea that's in your soul, in your gut, and that's a little bit of the spiritual part of it.
If I could, 60 seconds. I talked for a long time about it, and I was commenting about you, and I don't want to be disrespectful to your position and how you feel. What did I say? I want to hear your response of like what truly how you felt, and if I connected with some of the things that you felt, because I didn't acknowledge that, or you didn't necessarily say that I connected. I want to see if we aligned or if I was off, and how that felt for you. Just like 60 seconds.
Oh yeah, I mean, in terms of DI, I think we have a very similar understanding. It's the execution that's the problem, the superficiality of the execution. I think we actually spot on, more spot on. I thought that we would be, and yeah, but that's the main thing. And the word where for someone to be vocal, and you have to you have to be uncomfortable with sadly some debates, lively debates, and conflict. Not all conflict is bad. I mean, I used to be programmed thinking all conflict was bad. I used to be overly afraid of that, but deep down inside, I actually like conflict. It's actually a good thing. That's actually exciting. Yes, not the gunshots and that kind of crap. I'm not talking about the fiery war conflict. I want to prevent that kind. The verbal conflict. It's interesting.
You can have that all day. Yeah.
Yeah. Verbal. Keep it verbal. Verbal. Okay, that's key. Keep it verbal. Verbal. Like I said, I need to model that behavior as well. Disagreement doesn't equal hate. It's just we have just two ideas that are just in the air, either mixing or fighting each other. Well, it depends on the conversation, right? So I wish I had time to go deeper into that, but they gotta be ready for that. It's just we gotta make it a natural practice in the jobs, and I think that's the only way that's gonna happen. It's gonna take time, and a lot of corporations they just did it for the money because they thought it was a cool thing, which that's why other criticism as well, and that's why they axe a lot of those parts, which I saw it coming, but a lot of people thought it was crazy. I said no, give it 2 years, they're gonna axe them out, and a lot of them were gone. I said no, they're not doing it because they care about your well-being. Okay, they do it because they want to look cool. It's all virtual signaling, and I have to agree with the right-wing criticism on that one. Yeah, I sad to say, I have to be honest. I kind of agree with the Republicans on some of the criticizing the DEI. Not that they want to buy altogether. That's why I disagree with them. So no, I just think it needs to be rebranded, remodeled, and all of that.
Rebranded, yes. It needs to have a new word. It needs to have a new approach. And lastly, it needs to have some sort of consistency with the way that it's actually implemented, as opposed to finding people around that just claim to be experts in the space and then giving it a bad name and ruining the experience for other people. I'm not trying to say that if you feel as though that I just attacked you, then maybe you need to question how you have implemented DEI in your own place. If you've done your homework and you're able to implement it correctly and do it the right way, well, then you probably don't feel attacked from what I just said. And it's never an attack; it's a conversation. So holler at me if you want to chat about that more.
Yep, and see about that. Let's do that shameless plug-in. Yep, shameless plug-in time. Go to starts with the Jason Brown with the E.com. That is TheJason
BROWNE. Brown at E at the end of it.com. The one thing I want to say real quick is that if you don't want to go to the website, that's fine. Go to YouTube, look up Jason Brown TEDx. It's a possibility, it's a privilege. It relates to DEI. I would love if you just watched the video and left one comment and shared it with a friend. That's the biggest thing. If you want to do one thing to continue the conversation, check that TEDx, Jason Brown, possibilities of privilege. Love to see your comments.
Yep, I watched it. It was actually great because I always thought privilege could be both you earn and to some extent what you're born with. I always thought of it that way, but even before, no offense, I'm kind of bragging about it because I'm kind of ahead of everybody on this one. I said privilege is not always a bad thing. I said, I even said, I have Latino in my DNA. So yeah, it is a Latino privilege to take the heat. Yes, that is a Latino privilege. Hell yeah, I'm born with that one. Yeah, coming out looking good with a tan and all that. Oh yeah, I call that even the Caribbean privilege. I want to be extra inclusive in there. There you go.
There it is.
Take that. European saying. All right, let me stop. Actually, sir, you could take the sun as well. I'm gonna credit you, Italian people. So attack your DNA, not me. Okay, life is unfair sometimes. Deal with it. You can't get everything. You can't get everything.
I
Especially those who are
appreciate you
born with silver
having me,
spoon.
man. I
So
appreciate you having me, man. This has been fun. It's been wild. It's been a wild, crazy ride, and I appreciate it.
yeah, that's what I plan to do. So, like I said, go to thejasonbrown.com. For some reason, I get a tongue twister while I spell it real fast. I'm not that professional at that part yet. Expose, clip if you want. Make memes and trolls, that's fine. I enjoy a good laugh if you can do it well. Uh, and go to social medias as well for more conversation. Check his TED talk. Just check it, especially for those of you who think privileged people are a bunch of Karens. Okay, I know some of you fools think like that. Okay, so if you're smart, don't admit it. Just watch the video, be educated. Just pretend like you knew it. That you knew privilege could be a good thing. Okay, just put front, even though I might expose you. But
It can.
so that's all I'm gonna say about that. Just check it out. He's actually a great speaker. He's a real deal, right? And a lot of speakers I get bored with quickly. Not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Okay. And
Thank you, friend.
I am a difficult person. Proudly, I fall asleep on a lot of speakers. Sometimes in their face, because they just sound so dry. I said, how the heck can they become a speaker and just sound this dull? But well, he's revolutionizing the game. Him, and I think I have a couple of people on the lineup that who could TEDx the speaking engagement experience. Okay, and I could say it with a straight face. So with that said, from wherever you're listening to this podcast, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.